They say the ocean keeps its secrets well. Some are whispered back to us through seashells pressed against the ear. Others are carried in the songs of waves as they break endlessly on the shore. But there are some secrets the sea never surrenders. Some treasures it cradles too tightly, as if guarding them against time itself. This story is not of ships or sailors, not of storms or wreckage. It is the story of a single golden wedding ring, slipped from the hand of a woman more than 70 years ago. A ring that fell into the sea, a ring that the tides refused to return, a ring that never truly left the water because love itself refused to let go. Her name was Eleanor, 19 years old, a heart full of hope, and eyes that sparkled like sunlight on calm waters. The man she loved was Thomas, a fisherman, strong, kind, with a gaze always set on the horizon. He did not bring her riches. He did not wear fine suits or polished shoes. What he gave her was steadier, more enduring, the kind of love that holds steady in both storm and silence. Their wedding was small, almost humble, a gathering in the little wooden chapel near the coast. No grand orchestra, no diamond ring, just family, friends, and a simple golden band slid gently onto Eleanor's finger. On that day, Thomas leaned close and whispered, "This ring will never leave you, even if I do." She laughed at the words then, brushing them aside with the certainty of youth, but the promise would one day mean everything. For years, life unfolded quietly but beautifully. Each morning, Eleanor stood on the cliffs, watching Thomas guide his boat past the surf, his figure growing small until mist and horizon swallowed him whole. And every evening, her heart lifted as his boat returned. Whether nets heavy with fish or empty, his smile was always for her. It was a rhythm of love, bound not by wealth, but by devotion, until the rhythm broke. One night, clouds gathered. Without warning. Wind howled, pulling at rooftops. The sea, once gentle, became a furious beast. Thomas had gone out earlier that day, certain the weather would hold. But as lightning split the sky, Eleanor felt dread coil in her chest. She ran to the cliffs, shawl whipping in the storm. She searched the horizon with desperate eyes, but his boat never came home. By morning, all that remained were broken planks, washed up on the sand. The villagers searched, but the sea had claimed him. Eleanor collapsed on the shore, the waves soaking her dress, her sobs drowned by the roar of water. The man she loved was gone. The sea had swallowed her future whole. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months. The world around her moved on. Children laughed, fishermen sailed again. But Eleanor's heart stood still. The only thing she had left was the ring. That plain golden band became her anchor, the last piece of Thomas she could hold. She wore it through every season. Through winters when the sea froze along the edges, through summers when the tide sparkled with cruel indifference. That ring was her vow, her tether to a man no grave could hold, and she believed with all her heart that somehow, he still kept his promise, that even if he was gone, the ring bound them still. But time has a way of testing love. Years later, Eleanor walked alone along the tide pools where she had once held Thomas's hand. The rocks were slick that morning, wet with sea spray. She stumbled, caught herself on the edge, and in that one instant, the ring slipped. It slid from her finger, bounced once on the rock, and vanished into the tide. She gasped, plunging her hands into the water, clawing desperately at the sand. The waves pulled back, then rushed in, carrying the ring deeper, further beyond her reach. "No!" she cried, her voice torn by grief. The ocean did not answer, the last piece of Thomas, the final symbol of their life together, swallowed by the same sea that had already taken him. Neighbours said it was fate, that the sea had only taken back what belonged to it. But to Eleanor, it was as if her heart had been broken twice. The silence of that shore echoed louder than any storm. Yet the story did not end there. Children spoke of seeing something glittering beneath the waves, just for a moment before it slipped away. Fishermen swore that on certain nights, when the moon was full, a golden shimmer pulsed just below the waterline, like a heartbeat in the sea. Some laughed it off as tricks of the tide, light on wet rocks. But others grew quiet, whispering that perhaps Thomas had kept his promise after all. Perhaps the sea itself was keeping the ring, keeping their love alive beneath its endless surface. Eleanor never searched again. Her hands, now wrinkled and fragile, no longer reached into the waves. Instead, she sat by the shore, her gaze on the horizon. And sometimes, when the tide was right, her eyes softened, as though she heard something in the crash of waves. Perhaps it was only memory. Perhaps it was him calling still. Eleanor lived a long life, but her heart always belonged to the sea. When her final days came, her family honoured her wish, to be buried near the cliffs where she had waited for Thomas. Her grave faced the endless horizon, the waves forever echoing below. That evening, as her granddaughter lingered at the shore, she saw it, a golden shimmer just beneath the water. Not a trick of light, not a reflection, something glowing, pulsing like a heartbeat. The ring. The same ring Thomas had placed on Eleanor's hand decades before, still resting in the arms of the ocean, still refusing to leave. Was it real? Or only hope seen through tears? No one can say, but perhaps love doesn't end. Perhaps it waits, between the tide and the horizon, between memory and eternity. And maybe that's why the sea never gave up the ring. Because some promises are stronger than storms, and some love is stronger than death. So if you ever walk along a quiet shore and glimpse a golden shimmer below the waves, remember Eleanor, remember Thomas, for some vows do not break, some love never leaves, it only waits. But Eleanor's story is not the only one the sea has kept. There are other promises, other secrets waiting beneath the waves. If you felt her love in this story, stay with us, because in the next chapter, we'll uncover another tale the ocean never let go. Until then, carry this with you. Love never leaves, it only waits. And if you'd like to keep walking these shores with me, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who believes in forever, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story the sea has to tell.